3, 2. And welcome to episode 3 of
Socratic Sports.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also hear us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. As we said earlier, welcome to Socratic Sports. This is episode 3. I'm Chef Loso. This is my man, Joey B. Back at it. How you doing, Joey
Hello.
B?
You know what? I'm always doing great when we get to sit down and have these discussions.
I know, right? It turned into one idea, and now we've 3 episodes in, and it's kind of spectacular. You know what? I do look forward to doing this with you. This is really fun, man.
It's like we started as a little caterpillar and bloomed into a beautiful butterfly.
I love the analogy. Yes. That is so awesome.
So tell them what we got on tap for today.
Yeah, today we are actually talking about the greatest sports shows on earth. And sports is capitalized, okay? Because we are discussing the best sports game we've ever saw. Not the greatest sports game ever. You know, what's funny is that when I did my list, I was making sure I wasn't overlooking anything. And I came across... they talk about the greatest games over the years, and one of the pictures that I saw was the Wilt Chamberlain picture when he scored 100 points. Have you ever seen that picture?
I haven't seen the picture, but okay. I also came across that game when I was doing my research. And did you know it's only estimated that about 4,000 people were actually at that game? So not a lot of people actually saw it live. Because it wasn't broadcasted either. Right,
and listen, if that feat actually happened, then awesome. You know what? And you know what? I don't want to take any credit from it. That feat did happen. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we wasn't able to see that. That would have been awesome to see. Yeah. I mean, the closest we've seen to that was Kobe Bryant's 81.
2016, right? His last game, right?
No. His last game was 60.
That's right. I knew it was really 60. High.
81 was. I don't remember. We could do some research on Google and
I'll look it up there
look it up. So yeah, we are talking about the greatest sports shows we've ever seen, and it is not just about the for us, it's just moments in that game, or just what made that. So it was January 22nd, 2006, where he scored the 81.
That's according to AP News.
Yeah, so awesome. So yeah, so we're gonna kick off our list. I guess I'll go first if that's okay.
Yeah, I went first last time. I'd love to kick it to you.
Awesome. So we're gonna get started with, for me, the 2001 World Series. Now, if you watched the previous podcast. And if you haven't, please go back and watch it in the previous podcast before that. But if you haven't, I bought this as one of the underdogs, with the Diamondbacks beating the Yankees, because it is the Yankees every year back then in the 90s to the early 2000s. I mean, the Yankees was in the World Series almost every year, so people expect, them to be there. So to see the Diamondbacks beat them was, just a crazy story. But the reason why I have this game 4 and particularly on my list is because this was the game where Derek Jeter got his nickname, Mr. November. And so what happened was, few things happened. One, 9/11. That pushed back the playoffs by, I believe, like a week. And so on October 31st, on Halloween, Derek Jeter steps to the plate at midnight. Goes past midnight. Now we're in November. They're tied 3-3 in extra innings. Jeter comes to the plate, like I said, after midnight. It's November now. He cranks a home run out and wins the game 4-3. And so, I mean, if you've seen that atmosphere, watching that, just how the roof just blew off the stadium, even though there wasn't a roof on the stadium, it's just like, it's unbelievable. And another good fact that I'd like to point out is that out of all sports and not sports, but out of all baseball games that's been played, there has been, I believe, 6 or 7 that's played in November, but it was the first one to ever be played in November.
Really?
Yeah. Because everything.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So all sports, all baseball games are usually done in September, then the playoffs into October, and then that's it. But like I said, because of the pushback of 9/11, it went into November. And so it was actually the first game that was played in November. Cool. So I thought that was a really cool fact about it.
That also made me think, just so everybody knows, what I thought was always very interesting. MLB, professional baseball, is actually the first sport to resume play first professional sport to resume play after 9/11. So pretty interesting.
Yep, that's a good point. So that was my first to talk about that game. So I'll shoot it over to you.
Yeah. So my first one out of 5, one of the greatest games I've ever watched. We're going to 2016, Game 7 of the World Series. Little bittersweet, because the Cubs beat my Cleveland. Yeah. Amazing game. Couple facts at you, just in general. Cubs win. They break the 108-year curse. 108-year first World Series. It went into extra innings. It went all the way into the 10th. Went down to the wire. Cubs won 8-7. So very close game. Probably the most exciting moment when Cleveland thought they were down and out. Rajai Davis, bottom of the 8th, crushes a 2-run homer and ties the game. Yeah. Just ignited the crowd. Exciting game.
Yeah.
Didn't end the way I wanted to. And there was more to that game, but those are some definitely highlights you got to see.
Yeah. No, I love it. So on to me, I'm going to go on, switch it from baseball, which is probably my second favorite sport, to my first favorite sport, which is golf. And so the 2019 Masters. This is when Tiger won. Recent. This is when Tiger won his 5th Masters jacket. And I don't know and by the way, let me pause here and just let you guys know, as always, we don't share our list with each other until we are together. We have our whiteboard in front of us that has our list on there. So if he's asking me or am I asking him, if he saw something or we don't know what games he's picking. If we see it, great. If we haven't, then this is just great information between us. So what you're seeing is raw footage right now. So, but I don't know if you saw the 2019 Masters, but
I unfortunately didn't get to watch them. I kept, because I had a work event. I kept getting updates. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, Tiger won.
Yeah, yep. And let me tell you, that was, as a long time, you know how much I love Tiger. Yeah. Seeing him walk down the 18th, if you just watch the image, which we'll put up right now, the image of Tiger walking and the crowd behind him, it was one of the most craziest scenes you will ever see. And what makes this story even better is that Tiger, prior, with his back surgeries, his play wasn't the best. I mean, no one knew if he would ever get back to playing a game of golf, and at the level that he's used to playing at. I mean, what I've learned though is maybe 2 people, 3 that you never doubt in sports. It's Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, and Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods.
I actually agree with that list.
Yeah, and it's like, you never doubt them. And so, it was a feel-good moment to see him get back to the top, because it just seems like he was super lost for a few years, which, as episode 1, when we talked about being a fan and being invested, I've always been invested in Tiger Woods, and to see him not be at the top, it's just weird. Mm-hmm. I think now, as we see it now, him playing in certain tournaments, playing in majors, and not playing his best, it's not that bad of a feeling right now because he had his car accident. He's trying to rehab and be 100%. So the fact that there's hope, it's okay right now because I feel as though he's going to come back and he's going to be strong again. But at that time, there was no hope. In that 2018, 2017 season, it was just, it felt hopeless. But to see him win and walk down that 18th hole and see the crowd going crazy. Then to see him embrace his son as he won and walked off, because I saw a splitting image of him embracing his son.
Yeah.
And then they showed in '97 when he won the Masters, he was embracing his dad. And so it was just like, it came full circle. It was cool. It was just so cool. One of the greatest things to see. So that's why I have the 2019 Masters on my list.
That one I do remember.
Yeah.
So one other athlete I would throw to that list that you can never doubt, Serena Williams. She's the other one. Like, whenever you think she's out, she's in.
Yeah, that was actually great. Thank you for that.
So jumping to me. So 2019, we're going to NHL. It's hockey. Western Conference semifinals, Game 7. St. Louis Blues against the Dallas Stars. One of the big reasons this was so remarkable, Blues won the game 2-1, but they won it in double overtime. They won it 2-1. The goalie for the Dallas Stars, this is one of the reasons I remember it so much, 52 saves. 52 saves. Get this stat. The St. Louis Blues, if you take the second and third period and combine them, they outshot the Dallas Stars 31-4.
Wow.
Yet, because of that remarkable, Ben Bishop was the goalie, remarkable performance, he somehow kept them in the game to like always at least give them a chance, force double OT. Stars didn't deserve to win that game, so I'm glad they didn't in a weird way. Ben Bishop deserved to win that game, though. Wow. I have a soft spot for goalies, so it was a remarkable feat to watch. When they talk about standing on your head, Ben Bishop was standing on his head all game. So that was one of the reasons it ended up on my list.
That's awesome, man. That's a good story, man. 52 saves?
31-4 they out. Like, as Ben Bishop, I would have been like, dude, guys, I'm here for you, but do something.
Me a break. Yeah.
Do something.
Dude.
They had one shot on net in the second period, the Dallas Stars.
Man. That is crazy. And shout out to the Rangers. As you can see, I'm wearing my Rangers jersey, even though we lost this weekend. Yeah. I told Joey, I was like, I'm going to have my Rangers jersey on tonight. And he's just like, you sure you want to wear that? I'm like, yes, I represent win or lose. All right. So, but we'll be back next year. We'll be back next year. Don't worry about it.
It's a young core.
It is. That's why I'm excited about it. So, all right, on to me now. So we're going to talk about one of the craziest comebacks you will ever see in sports history.
It's almost made my list.
But it's on mine.
I got you.
So it is the Super Bowl 51, Pats versus Falcons. We all remember halftime, 28-3. So let me ask you, Joey, a quick question, right?
Okay.
You're down 28-3 in a game, and you look down your bench, and you're like, you know what? How are we going to come back from this? And then at the end of the bench, you see who? Tom Brady. Do you think you're going to lose that game?
I'll be honest, if I was on that team, I might have still thought we lost that game. We would still lose that game until you see Tom just like, come on, guys, we're still in this.
So, it was the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history, right? But then one of the biggest, the craziest facts that I researched and found, right? Because obviously we know these games, we watch these games, but we have to do the research to know just a little bit more deeper. Super Bowl 51 is the only Super Bowl to go into overtime.
Wow. So I didn't, wow.
Yeah.
That's
right?
amazing. It took 51 Super Bowls
to go into overtime. Yep. Every other Super Bowl.
And of course it's Tom Brady.
It's Tom Brady. Exactly.
Also, the first quarterback to ever win the Super Bowl at the same place they're hosting the Super Bowl when he won with the Buccaneers. Guy just does everything.
He does everything. Yep.
Absurd.
And then what's even more crazy about that game or just that season alone is that was the same season as the Flake game. So he was out the first four games of the season, comes back and still leads them to the Super Bowl. And what's crazy is that like after all of that, he's still like they didn't have enough to. So do you remember why they even suspended him? Like, what made it like them even do more?
Wasn't it like text?
He destroyed his cell phone, and because that was supposed to be evidence for an investigation, and he destroyed it. And so everybody, he destroyed it because he's trying to hide Deflategate. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, was he really trying to hide Deflategate, or was it something else on that phone he didn't want somebody to see?
He didn't want Giselle knowing
he didn't want.
on.
Hey, everything would have been public record, and he didn't want. He was like, you know what? This is about to be destroyed. So
I'm sorry about this, but he saw your boy Tiger. He's like, not me.
Not yet. That's a good point. Yep, that is a good point.
I gotta protect my pretty boy image.
Yep, and he sure has. And
that's a good pick.
So yeah, but that one of the greatest comebacks you will ever see in sports history. And so yeah, that's why I picked it. On to you, buddy.
All right, so sticking with football, a couple years before that. It's 2014 NFL season. Super Bowl happened in 2015. We're talking about Super Bowl 49. Stop me if you heard this before. The Patriots were in it. They beat the Seahawks 28-24. Yes, this is the one where you had the interception, the Malcolm Butler interception.
Yep. Which Tom gave him the car. Shout out to Tom again.
That I thought was interesting about this game that I never thought about. It was Bill Belichick against Pete Carroll, who Pete Carroll was actually who Bill Belichick replaced as the head coach of the Patriots.
Oh.
So it's widely thought that they fired Pete Carroll because they knew they could get Bill Belichick.
Got it.
So there was a little added animosity. The other fact I will not pass up on this game, and this is a true fact. You won't find this on any websites. I guessed the exact score right.
Okay.
I swear on my life, I guessed 28-24 with the Pats winning.
So he told me this, and unless I see it written down somewhere, unless I can have somebody back up this story, I don't know if I would have believed this.
7 years ago. I don't keep papers for 7 years.
I wasn't there 7 years ago.
I swear, I was in college.
Our viewers wasn't there 7 years ago.
I was in college, and I got extra credit on a hospitality law class. I blew my professor's mind.
Can we reach out to the professor? Do you
No, I
remember
don't talk to him. On top of that, it really was just an exciting game.
Yeah,
dude. That last drive, everybody thought Russell was going to win it.
Yeah, for sure. That was the interception.
Malcolm Butler interception. When everybody thought, give it to Beast Mode, you win. Nope, we're going to drop back and pass.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy game.
That was exciting. All right, on to me. So mine is more of it's not an actual, it's part of the game, but I just thought it was something that was just so needed at the time. And this is when George Bush threw out the first pitch in Game 3 of the Yankees versus the Diamondbacks. Again, I know I probably sound like a broken record when I talk about the 2001 World Series, but it just had everything. And again, this is the stuff that we've seen, as I mentioned earlier. And it's just a memory that will always be stuck with me. Because I remember 9/11 like it was yesterday. You know, I remember being in high school. I remember everybody saying, hey, everybody go to the auditorium. Your parents are coming to pick you up. As I'm in the auditorium, I'm like, we don't know what's going on. My parents get there, pick me up, bring me home. And then even themselves didn't really tell me what was going on. But when I turned on the TV and saw the aftermath of everything, that's when I realized, oh, wow, like this really happened in my lifetime. Like I'm like this, like I said, 14, 15-year-old kid seeing the Twin Towers go down. It's just crazy. So when you see something like that, when you're young, you just don't know how to, I guess, put it in perspective. It's kind of hard. Huh?
Process it.
Yeah. You don't know how to process it. And so, but as always, you and I, we do anything, and I think we're alike, is that sports make us kind of forget about the world, or kind of like, it put things on the back burner, if you must say. And seeing George Bush up there throwing out the first pitch and throwing a perfect first pitch just set the tone. Even though we lost that series, it just set the tone that, hey, I mean, even before that with the Mets, you know, when he did it at Met Stadium and
was that when Mike Piazza?
Yes, exactly.
And the Mets won?
Yep. Yeah. So when Mike Piazza...
That was one of the first professional sports games to come back.
Yep. So when Mike Piazza did that, changed like a lot. It was exciting. And then it went over into the game 3 when George Bush threw out the first pitch. And then, as I mentioned earlier, game 4 when Derek Jeter hit the home run. It was just such an exciting World Series, but it was just also hope. It was just, you know, seeing like, hey, you can't tear us down. We're gonna come back bigger and stronger. This, like baseball or just sports in general, helps us cope. And this is why I have that on there and as one of my picks. Not just about the game, just about, you know, just the whole meaning behind him throwing out the first pitch.
Yeah, I actually thought this was a super cool one because I did not, honestly, when I was making this list, I didn't pick games. A lot of my games I picked, it was because of like how they ended and the score and all that. I never really once considered like the impact of like the overall just kind of sentiment of humans. Mm-hmm. So I thought this was a super cool pick. You approach this in a different mindset than I would have thought. So I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, cool.
However, back to my list, and we are going to talk about the exciting parts of it. So going to 2019 NBA Western Conference semifinals. Blazers, they beat the Nuggets. It was game 3. They beat them 140 to 137. One of the biggest reasons this was so exciting, I know what you're thinking, game 3, like what, nobody wins? Yep. Quadruple overtime. Yeah. Quadruple overtime. The game did not end until 1:30 a.m. my time. Would you like to guess how many quadruple overtimes there's been in NBA history? Including this one?
2?
There's been 2, including this one. It's a good job. Now, do you know when the last one was?
That I don't know.
1953.
Wow.
It was between the Boston Celtics and the Syracuse Nationals.
There was
a team that doesn't even exist
anymore. I'm about to
anymore.
say, there was a Syracuse professional basketball team.
That was, until this game, the only other quadruple overtime game. Rodney Hood was the hero of the game. He went off in the 4th overtime because everybody else was exhausted. Again, nobody was winning the series. You know, neither one of those teams really had finals hopes. But man, like, it was just so, each player felt like you would have swore you were watching a finals game. Yeah. They were just playing for their lives, it seemed like. Wow. So, great point.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. I like how you just gave yourself a great point.
Yeah, I didn't.
If nobody's going to pat me on the back, I'm going to pat me on the back.
I was thinking that my AC's on, and I forgot to turn that off again.
Oh, no, it's all good. So we are shooting this in Texas, and it's about, 110 degrees outside? So if you hear some AC, I'm sorry. It's hot, and it's, it's hot here. It's nice and cool in here, so. But anyway, on to the next one. For me.
Turn that off.
So, as Joey goes and turn it off real quick, we're gonna take a break real fast. Don't go anywhere. But we're just gonna take a break and talk about you liking and subscribing and being a part of our channel. Those who have watched, we appreciate you guys so much. Happy to have you join us and just come along with us on this journey. It's been super fun, super amazing. Thank you for all the comments. Shout out to Hong for giving us our first comment, telling us how great the show is. Appreciate you, Hong. Just wanted to shout out everybody who subscribed and liked so far, and just please spread the word and continue to do that. So on to my final point. The greatest basketball player of all time, Michael
Debatable.
Jordan.
But I will let you have your moments.
So yes, please let me have my moment. I don't want to go into who do you think is the greatest basketball player of all time, because that's probably a longer topic, and we're just gonna leave that as is. But anywho, the Michael Jordan flu game. If you're a sneakerhead like me, you know they have even the flu game sneakers, the Jordans. But what's crazy is, so I wrote this down. They asked, him. He even stated himself that he's never felt worse in his life than he did that night having the flu. They call it the flu game, but there's more behind the story. But he felt an obligation to play for not only his teammates, but for the city of Chicago. And that was game 5, pivotal game. It was tied 2-2. Jazz had 2 games. Chicago had 2 games. And game 6 was the shot that he hit that allowed him to win the championship. So that game 5, if you take away his 38 points while sick, you take that away, there's no way that Chicago would have won that game. No, that could have been a way. I mean, you never know. We can't change the past.
There was no way.
We can't change the past.
You gotta call a spade a spade.
But it was a 38 point. I mean, he just put his all out. I mean, it's Michael Jordan. Would you expect anything less from Michael Jordan? But what's fascinating about what I saw was that we call it the flu game. Until this day, you can't change the name. It's stuck like glue. It's the flu game. But Jalen Rose once, and you know who Jalen Rose is, ESPN commentator now, but he mentioned that he thinks that Michael Jordan was hungover. But then Michael Jordan's assistant mentioned that it was more of a stomach bug because about 5 guys delivered a pizza to his room when he wanted pizza. And his assistant took it and was just like, why is 5 guys bringing me pizza? Like, mind you, it was like 5 boxes of pizza, but you don't need a person individually for each, box of pizza. So he felt that somebody tried to sabotage Michael Jordan before game 5, got him sick so he wouldn't be able to play in the game. But Michael Jordan sucked it up and went out and did what he did and helped his team win the game. So I just thought, it just made me think, because I know the story of the flu game. You have a flu, you're sick. I mean, people, right now they have a little knack on their leg and they're like, hey, I'm gonna be out for the year, So, but Michael Jordan had the flu. He was like, hey, I'm playing. Hey, it's a flu. Like, let's play through the flu. But when they said, hey, it probably was either hungover or it was sabotage, it's just like the story within the story is like, oh, so what really did happen,
what's interesting is you probably will never know truly what happened.
Exactly. That's the thing. You still, either way, he was sick, hungover, whatever it was, but he still played lights out. That's why it was, and just watching that game and watching him hold on to Scottie Pippen as he's being carried off the court. I mean, it's just like, dude, like, if that doesn't inspire you, what will, So I just thought that was just amazing to see, especially at that time this was, I want to say 98 maybe? Yeah, Joey is researching right now to see what year it was. Give us a second. NJ's flu game, 97. All right, I was in between, but so yeah, it's just crazy to see that 97. Me being, like I said, grammar school, high school. No, it was more late grammar school, but to see that and just being in awe of somebody being sick would continue to go. I mean, again, just a memory that sticks in my head. So that's why I put that on my board. So I'll shoot it over to you for your last one.
All right, last one. So probably the biggest surprise on this list. We're going to 2014, the World Cup, actually. It was the semifinal game against Germany against Brazil. So if you do know this game, you know it was actually a blowout. So Germany beat them 7-1. The reason why it was so memorable to me is, one, that World Cup was in Brazil that year. Brazil was like, nobody thought Brazil was going to lose that World Cup. Now, look, Germany, they're no scrubs. They're an elite team. But to go into Brazil and just dismantle Brazil, the way that they did, I don't think, also, Germany went on to win the World Cup that year. I've never really seen a game where they just went in there and just imposed their will on Brazil. And Brazil didn't even know. They were up 4-0 before the second half. Brazil didn't score a goal until the 90th minute. Wow. They were down 7-0.
Jeez. Was that a gimme goal to give them one goal?
Guess. They were like, oh, I guess we'll show mercy now. I couldn't, even though it was a blowout, I just couldn't turn away. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah. Wow.
So that's why it stuck out in my head.
Yeah. So those were our top 5 lists. And before we go into our honorary mentions, we just want to say if you have a top 5 list, or if you think it's a game that we may have overlooked or a game that you saw, just drop it in the comments. We'll definitely look over it and do our research and see why you thought this game was the best game you've ever saw. So for my honorary mention, I am going Raptors Phillies 2019. If you all remember this, the shot by Kawhi Leonard goes into the corner, shoots it, dribbles on the rim about 3 or 4 times before going in, and then. But the reason why this is an honorary mention is because, again, as I mentioned earlier, with Tiger Woods and the crowd behind him, that picture of Kawhi bending down on his knees and everybody's just looking at their rim, waiting to see what happens. Just an amazing capture, amazing photo, and I mean the anticipation of seeing the ball just on the rim, waiting to go in. Is it not? Everybody was on their seat, And I've even seen videos of people who watched the game that were Philly fans, and as they saw it goes in, I forget what it was, but it was a huge family. Had to been 10, 11 people in that room. You got the kids crying. You got adult. Everybody is bawling out, not bawling because something happened or something. No, well, something did happen because they love the Phillies so much that they just lost it. And I was like, man, those are some passionate fans right there to just bawl and cry over it. But it was such a tremendous game. It was a great shot. So that's why I was an honorary mention.
That shot was probably as close to a real life movie scene as I've ever seen in sports. It literally looked like a scripted, they throw the touchdown pass and they're slowly, because it was just boom, boom.
Yeah.
And like you said, Kawhi, I don't believe that Kawhi thought that was going in.
Oh,
I have never seen that man show emotion. That was true emotion. He was like, oh my God. It went in.
Yep. Yeah, that was definitely a catch, a dribble to the corner, and just praying it goes in, and doop right in there. So that's just unforgettable. So on to your honorary mention.
My honorary mention,
guys, just let him be. Just go ahead.
So to stick with what I've always done, I know I'm not in any gear today, but 2018 Super Bowl 52, the Eagles beat the Patriots. Hold on before you do that. There are some even if you don't like the Eagles, there are some well-worth facts in this game.
Okay.
So, there were a lot of records set. So, it was the most yards gained in an NFL game by both teams combined, 1,151 yards. Fewest punts by both teams. There was 1 punt.
Wow. Okay, that's really cool.
And the most points scored by a losing team. So, there was obviously...
What was the final score?
It was... 41-33.
Okay.
41-33. And then obviously the game probably included one of the more known, even if you don't like the Eagles, one of the more known plays. So the Philly special, Nick Foles, Trey Burke, right in the breadbasket. Obviously, it holds more significance to me.
Yes, that's why I made that look when he mentioned this.
But I think it shouldn't be. It was definitely an impressive game.
It was, without a doubt. It still was the Eagles. So just want to put that out there.
Those are our lists.
Yes.
I think they were all good choices. So something that came up to me, I want to pose this question to you because I'm curious about your answer.
Okay.
While you were making the list, Was there one theme or motif or kind of like just running through line or commonality that you noticed about all these games that you feel like made them memorable for you?
Honestly, what I think the first word that actually popped in my head when you just asked me this question was emotion. And as I continue to talk about, when we first started this podcast, the first thing we talked about is being invested. If I go down my list, the World Series with the Derek Jeter hitting the home run in 2001 in Game 4. I mean, if you see the emotion of the crowd going wild, you see Derek Jeter running the bases. The Masters, seeing Tiger Woods, the Super Bowl 51, to see the comeback and Tom Brady, we talk about Tom Brady, but I mean, that picture of him holding his, head, he's just like he couldn't believe, they won. I mean, nobody would have believed they came back from 28-3. The 9/11 George Bush pitch. I mean, just emotions of just like, we're going to stay strong through this. And the flu game with Michael Jordan, I mean, he had to be carried on. He cared enough to, even though I'm sick, I'm still going to play for my city and I'm still going to play for my teammates. So going through this, and what did you just mention about Kawhi Leonard? He never shows emotions, and he showed emotions. So yeah, I think that was the one commonality I think they all had together was just emotion.
So why? What about the emotion? So do you think it was the emotion because you were just really impressed that they were showing emotion and that made you feel emotion? Or was it emotion because you just, like you said with the George Bush pitch, you felt close to that event and that's what kind of connected you with it? Yeah, where do you think the emotion comes from?
Yeah, I think it was a mixture of both. As you know, when I talk about the World Series, 2001 World Series, I mean, literally growing up in Jersey City was a boat ride across the river to New York. Like I'm, being so close and being that close to 9/11, if you feel like you're a part of that, like that. I mean, even though I wasn't there, even though I wasn't, on the scene of the massacre that happened, but being, like I said, being right across that river, you just felt like a part of it. So when you see the emotions of George Bush, and when you see Derek Jeter did what he did, hitting that home run in Game 4. You feel close. Tiger Woods, he's the reason why I follow golf, as I mentioned plenty of times. So again, I'm invested into that. But like with the flu game or the Super Bowl, it was just that emotions, they're showing how invested they, even though they're making millions of dollars, they can easily, Tom Brady could have won the Super Bowl. Thanks guys, peace out, did my job. Michael Jordan, peace guys, did my job. Kawhi did the shot, no emotion, and just walk off like I don't care. But they showed that raw emotion in the moment. It makes you gravitate to us. That it makes you want to, wait for, like you can't wait for next season to come around and do this again. So like I said, I think it's just an overall, every emotion aspect of these games is why I was, they stick out to me. They're like in my head, like stuck for years now. Forever, probably.
So I like that answer. It also made me think of kind of a follow-up question. Do you think the emotion, a lot of it has to do with it's cool to see them as emotional about it and get as excited about it as we do?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think, like I said, if they just, it's just like, in everyday life, as us working regular jobs besides doing this podcast, if me and you work together, if you came in there and didn't give a crap about your job and you were just like, you made a bar, like, who wants to go to work like that? Who wants to be a part of that? The same with sports. If I'm sitting here rooting for the team, but they're showing me that they don't care about us as fans or us just being invested into this, I think it'll be a completely different story. I think it'll be I don't think you'll see as many fans in the stands. I don't think you'll see many people wearing jerseys, talking about sport. ESPN wouldn't even be relevant right now if it wasn't for these emotions and stuff like that. So I think, seeing them as invested into this, seeing them get emotional when they get traded or, when they lose. So I don't mind that emotions. I think it's great.
It's a cool answer. Actually, though, a lot different from mine. So one of the things I noticed when I was making this list is the first thing that kept coming back to me was when it came to these games, I remembered where I was, who I was with. Like, I remembered the whole ambiance and environment I was in. Like, it really stuck out to me. So, for instance, the Super Bowl 49, I was in college. I was downstairs in my dorm room lobby. I was watching the game. There was always this group of us that would watch football on Sundays. So we were all there. And as the game went on, the group grew bigger to the point where, like, it was the final drive, the 2-minute drive from the Seahawks. It's probably like 40 people downstairs with us watching the game. And everybody, even if they didn't know football, everybody, you could just tell they were locked in on the drive. We even had, so there was a Pats fan and a Seahawks fan. And you could see, like, the Seahawks fan was like, oh, we got this. We got this. And the Pats fan, even though you didn't want to see it, you could see it just, the further they got down the field, the more just kind of his hope was dwindling. And then the interception happened. And everybody, just literally everybody just grabbed their hands. We were doing the same face. In fact, there was a kid, I'll never forget this, kind of a quiet kid, smart kid, honestly knows more about sports than the both of us. I was always impressed with how much he knew. Never really heard this guy make a peep. He stands up after the interception happens, and he's like, only thing he could say was, Bill Belichick is a genius. He might have had some few colorful words in there. And I was like, oh my God, he's right. Like, for him to see that on the field and be like, yo, they're passing.
Yeah.
So that environment, I think, made that game better. Because I didn't want the Pats to win. But the whole environment made it cool. Now, what's interesting is compare that to the 2019 NBA Western Conference semifinals. The Blazers beat the Nuggets in Game 3. It was 1:30 in the morning. I'm by myself watching here, just by myself.
Yeah.
Totally different environment, but just as memorable.
Right.
Because I think at that point, I went to bed before this game went into overtime because I'm like, I didn't really care about the game. And I woke up just kind of randomly. I was like, I wonder what the score of the game is. I'm like, oh my God, it's still going. So I run out to my couch, I sit down, I turn on, and I'm just locked in.
Yeah.
And it was all calm, and I think I had an appreciation for what those athletes did grew that night. Because this was Game 3, and they were just throwing it all on the line. And for me not to be surrounded by anybody and really take it in, I think made the game more memorable to me.
So wouldn't you say, because I know you said you had a different perspective than me, and I mean, it seems like you do, but then I beg the question then, because of your investment and because of the emotions that was going on in those games, is why you remember where you was at and who you was with? Because like you just said, the people that you was with when the Seahawks game, yeah, you had people who didn't follow sports, but they was invested. Their emotions was into that. I mean, because of the emotions, you remember where you was, who you was with, and all that stuff. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, like that's how I see it.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument for the emotions. It's a fair argument. I think it's just more the whole. I just didn't expect for that stuff to happen. So maybe a lot of it was unpredictability.
Okay.
Like when Game 3 started, I didn't expect to go into quadruple overtime.
No, of course not. No.
I thought the Patriots would win because I picked the score right. FYI. But I didn't expect it to end on a Malcolm Butler.
No, of course not.
I thought for sure everybody in that lobby. Okay, hand it off to Marshawn Lynch, you win the game. Drop back and pass. So maybe for me, I think it was more just the unpredictability and just seeing seeing another side of people I don't really see. Now, without a doubt, I think sports are always better with other people for the most part. So that's why you like going to live games, because you're surrounded by everybody else that likes your team.
Yeah.
So
awesome. But hey, great question. Appreciate it. And what I appreciate so much about that question, honestly, is that I didn't even think about it until you said it. And what I appreciate about me, to just talk about me real quick, is that the fact that as soon as you asked me, it's like I knew right away. I was just like, yeah, those.
It's like it's just kind of sitting in the back
yeah,
of your
it's just
brain,
like right there, but it just needed the right question to get it out.
It's like when you can't remember something and then somebody says
a
something
certain
similar
word.
to it. You're like, oh, that was it. Yeah,
that's exactly what just happened. So that was awesome. So Joey B, can we talk about the games that are going on this weekend?
Yes.
The upcoming sports. We're actually going to have a few picks to see if he's Nostradamus of sports over here and going to pick the right games.
I haven't done it since. I just want to use that as a disclaimer.
Actually,
I'm gonna wear that. I'm gonna take that one to the grave, getting it right.
Can you pull up the U.S. Open? Like who's in it? I don't remember. With all the changes that's been going on with the LIV, we're talking about golf right now. If you're
we're gonna make predictions for the Stanley Cup Final, which starts on Wednesday. Avalanche versus the Lightning.
Yep. And then also we're gonna talk about make picks for a winner and a runner up for the U.S. Open, which begins this weekend also.
So these I got the top 100.
Okay,
off
that's
the
fine. golfdigest.com. I kind of know who I want to pick as a winner. I'm just not sure about a runner up, and I just wanted to see who was in the field. But anyway, we can before we delve into the U.S. Open, because there's only 2 teams in the Stanley Cup Finals. We can start making our picks there, I think. So who do you got?
So Lightning in 6 games.
That is so weird. I swear to you, no lie, that was my same pick.
All right.
The Lightnings in 6.
Well, it is what it is.
And the reason why
it's a good pick.
Yeah, the reason why I was picking the Lightnings in 6 is because, the first thing that I thought about was when they first started the series against the Rangers. Rangers went up 2-0, but they was off for a while. But then as soon as they got on it, once they got it was like, putting on skates again and getting in the rhythm, they just hit the ground running. Well, hit the ice skating essentially. So
it kills me to make that pick too, because I really hate the Lightning.
Yeah.
I don't particularly care for the Avalanche, but I do feel like the Avalanche have built to this.
Yeah, but the thing with Colorado is that they just, wiped Edmonton off the floor, and so I can see the same thing happening to them, like happened to Tampa Bay. They get off to a slow start, then they make it interesting, but at the end of the day, Tampa Bay pulls it out. So that's why
the last thing I will say about it is one of the reasons I picked the Lightning. Look, Colorado can go toe to them offensively. You got Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog. It's going to come down to the goaltending.
Yeah.
And look, Darcy Kemper, great. Look, nothing against you, but still, the Lightning have Andre Vasilevsky. He's been Vezina champion, two-time
this dude.
At a certain point, talent wins out. So
this dude, I wouldn't say destroyed the Rangers, but he was just on another level against the Rangers. And
I don't like him, but I do respect him. Yeah. He's amazing. Yes. All right, so what about U.S. Open? I'll go ahead and go first.
Okay.
My winner, I think it's going to be Rory McIlroy.
Okay, that's a good one.
He just won. Runner. Yep.
He just won the Canadian Open.
The runner-up will be Cameron Smith.
Okay, so you picked two top guys. So for my winner, I think I'm gonna go with Sam Burns. He's been right there, just waiting to win. He did win. He beat not this tournament, but the tournament before. What was it? I don't know if it was the Byron Nelson or no, it wasn't the Byron Nelson. It was something else. But he just recently won. He beat out his really good friend Scotty Scheffler. He just beat out Scotty Scheffler just recently. Where was it? No. Scroll up real quick. No, the Charles Schwab. Click on that one. Yes, okay. There you go. So he just won the Charles Schwab 2 weeks ago. Came in first, beat out Scotty Scheffler, as I said. So I think and he didn't do too bad in the Canadian Open. At least I don't think he did. He came in he came in top 4.
So you picked him as your winner?
Yeah, I think he's gonna win the U.S. Open. For my runner-up, I'm gonna give it to JT, Justin Thomas. I think He's been on fire too. Same thing.
He's the one who just won the PGA championship.
Yes. Yep. He won the PGA championship.
Tough back to back.
Yeah. Well, he won the PGA championship, and again at the Charles Schwab, he was up there. At the Canadian Open that just happened, he was up there.
Oh, he got third.
Yeah, he was up there. Where was he at the Charles Schwab? Was he, or was that just the most recent one? Because I know. Oh, actually, I'm lying. So let me rephrase that. So he played the PGA Tour Championship. He won the Charles Schwab. He didn't make it to the weekend, but then he came back for the Canadian Open, and he came in at third or fourth at the Canadian Open recently. Third. But the reason why I think the Charles Schwab, why he didn't make it to the weekend, is because he was on such a high from the PGA Championship that he was just like, hey, I just want to get through this, and I'll wait to the next one, which he is. So I think he's still there. And so yeah, my Sam Burns and Justin Thomas, those are the two that I think I'm gonna go with.
Cool. I respect it.
Yeah.
To be fair, I did pick Rory to win the Masters. So I've been on Rory for a while.
Yeah.
So I do have two last questions, and they're quick answers. I am curious.
Yeah.
Was there any game that didn't make your list that when you initially made it, you would have thought it would have been on it, but it couldn't make the cut?
It's a good question. I honestly, right now, I really can't think of anything. I mean,
that's fine. Just so y'all know, we don't give these questions to each other.
Yeah. He's asking me
so
right now. I'm trying to think of something where I'm like, you know what, this would have been good. You know what? Honestly, what didn't make my list, but I would have put on the list was because it was the Cubs, but it was
the Game 6 of 2003 with the Steve Bartman.
Yep. Steve, there you go, Bartman. Yep, gotcha. That was the one, and not because, like I said, it just changed sports history right there with a fan interference.
I felt so bad,
dude. He went into isolation for years.
It wasn't even fair. If you look at the picture, so many people are going for that baseball.
And it just happened. He was the one.
Honestly, you know who screwed him over? The TV broadcast. They kept focusing on him.
Yeah, that's true. It's a very valid point.
So what about flip side? Was there any game that didn't make my list that you thought would have made it?
For you?
Yeah.
Actually, the Eagles one, I knew was going to be on there. I didn't know it was going to be honorary, but I knew it was going to be on there.
But so is there a game you thought would have been that didn't make it?
That didn't make it? Honestly, what I thought was going to be on there was the 1980 hockey game. Okay. So, you want to know why that didn't make it? Because these were games we watched. I didn't see that live. That's true.
I didn't see it live, so I felt, because I thought about it, but I'm like, it feels dishonest to put it on there.
Yeah, very true. Because of how you talked about it.
Listen, it's still the greatest. I still stand by it being the greatest sports.
I just thought you was going to put it on there.
But again, we were doing greatest games that we
watched.
Seen.
Yeah. That or some kind of. I could totally see you putting down one of the most recent college basketball upsets. I can see you doing something like that because I know how big you are into upsets and stuff.
So, do you want to know what game didn't make your list that I thought for sure would have been on it?
Does it have to do with the 49ers?
It does not.
Oh, okay.
It was Game 7 of the 01 World Series. I thought for sure that would have made your list. 01 World Series, Yankees, D-backs, Game 7. I know that they lost.
I'm about to say, I didn't want to put
in terms of memorable.
Well, yeah, it was memorable because they saw. But that, again, the greatest sports games with the Derek Jeter, seeing Derek Jeter hit that home run, that was absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Watching Luis Gonzalez hitting over Mariano, it's memorable in a bad way, and I don't want to relive that. But I get what you're saying, though. I do get what you're saying.
So do you want to know what game didn't make my list that I was actually shocked at myself?
That you didn't put it on it?
Yeah.
Now, did you know you was going to put it, or was it an afterthought after you put these games?
It was not. So it was an initial, and I guess it kind of was an initial game, but when I really sat down and thought about this list, it didn't make the cut. I wrote up this list. So 2016 NBA Game 7 Finals, Cavs against
Cavs.
Warriors.
Yeah. That's it.
I think the reason it didn't make it was the only thing I really remember of that game, obviously, was the Cavs winning. And I remember the block by LeBron and the three-pointer by Kyrie. But other than that, I mean, it was a pretty standard basketball game.
Yeah. It's very true.
So, and I just...
that block by LeBron, that was pretty memorable. Like, I can play that over into my head, too.
But it just... When I compared it to these five...
It just, there
wasn't anything unique enough about it that stuck with me. I couldn't tell you where I watched that game.
If you didn't go with the Eagles, I think you probably would have went with that as an honorary mention, not as on your list. Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I almost put Eagles on the list with it, and with that one being the honorary mention, but I kept coming back to these five.
Yeah,
and it made more sense.
It's a great list, dude. It's a great list. So as I mentioned earlier, if you want to comment us the greatest games that you watched, the greatest sports games ever that you watched, please do let us know what you thought. This has been episode 3 of Socratic Sports. We appreciate you guys checking us out. We'll be back here next Monday with another episode. So make sure you guys tune in, subscribe, like, comment, share the word, tell the world. And just keep enjoying along with us. Enjoy the ride with us, please. Joey B, any last words?
I think you said it perfectly, man. I think, I love the list. I hope people do too. It's interesting to see. I really do feel like your list was interesting in terms of like understanding where your mindset was. Because I feel like it was very different than the way I looked at these games.
Yeah. Hey, great way to put it. So until next time, guys, you want to do our little outro dance?
Always. That's what they really come here for.
Hey.
So abrupt. And so abruptly.
Thank you guys again. See you guys soon.